cases in front of Judge Evans, and one of the things that I can tell you about her when she sat on that bench is that she cares about her community. She cares about people. And she's going to tell you like it is. And if your mama's sitting out there and it is apparent that your mama has been somewhat neglectful and has not taken you to task, your mama is going to get a lecture too. And a lot of times you have parents that want to sit in the courtroom and be anonymous. Like they're just there to kind of see what's going on and be observers. Not in her courtroom. Your mama will be right up front and she will get called out, absolutely get called out. But that's something that I've always loved and admired about Judge Evans, because, you know, sometimes we have situations where individuals get into the legal system and the system smothers them because they don't understand the lingo, they sometimes don't really understand the charges, and you have to bring it to a level of their understanding. And that's not talking down to people, that's a whole different thing. It's bringing it to a level of their understanding. So when it's time to get down and get an understanding about what's going on, this is who you call. So I just want you to give a round of applause to one of the best judges I know. Because she really cares. Just get out your way. You know I love you. You know I do.
I know.
Absolutely.
It is an honor to be able to be here, you know, after serving on the bench for 22 years and as a prosecutor. You know, I didn't think I would ever be invited to speak at events again like this, but it is such an honor. This is my very first event since leaving the bench, and I'm very, very happy, but it will not be my last event. And one of the things that, you know, and to Wyatt and Janice, we work together. They're wonderful, absolutely wonderful attorneys, and I have a lot of respect for them because they go the extra mile. You know, you see people that, you know, they go along to get along, and, you know, I'm now seeing how many people are given limited information just so they can get money. And I had to tell a lady the other day, you know, when I was on the bench, I operated in integrity, and now that I'm not on the bench, I still operate in integrity. See, the difference is this. I might not get a Bentley or a big house or a Rolls Royce, but I'm gonna sleep good because I know it's right. And that's what's important. You understand? And so that has always been the cornerstone of my belief and how I have conducted myself. And one of the things that obviously is very near and dear to my heart, to anybody's heart, is when we talk about child abuse. You know, in particular, the case that you all had with the freezer mom, it was a horrific case, but what we had to realize is that, you know, yes, it was a horrific murder case, but it started off as a terrible child abuse case. Yes, yes. And that system failed that mother. It did. You understand? Yes. And when a person has enough courage to cry out, there have to be people who hear it. Yes. Unfortunately, the system that we're working in is so overwhelmed that now people simply make referrals. There's just not enough people to check it out. And unfortunately, these parents know, they understand the system. They're able to manipulate the system, you know, and it's very difficult. But the issue that I believe it all starts from is one thing. When you decide to have a child, okay, and it's not because you get pregnant. That's different. That's separate. So you can get pregnant and not want to be a mom. Okay? But when you decide you're going to have a baby, you got to stop your life. Okay? Then their life begins. I tell my daughter all the time, I said, when it's sunny outside and you got a pocket full of money, you got to say you're ready to be a parent when you say, I'm ready to go see Sesame Street. And if you're not, then you don't need to be a parent. Okay? You know, if you're going to do the things that result in having children, make sure that none come about. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's a grown folk talk conversation. Because You don't want to, the responsibility of children is awesome. You know, and every time people have sex, they don't want to have a baby. But when they end up having a baby, they'll say many times, well, my religious beliefs preclude me from, you know, abortion or, you know, whatever. And then they have these children and they take out their frustrations on the child because of what they felt they gave up. So what God is you serving if you beating the hell out your child because you don't want to have an abortion because you saying it's against God? What? You understand? And so that circular knowledge, that's circular. And what we have to be able to do, it starts here. It starts in churches. It starts in the community. When our children are of age, that they are want to engage, we want to pray to God that they don't. All right, we all want that. But the reality is if they do, are you protecting them? Are you giving them information? Are you arming them with enough information that they'll be able to come to you and say, this is what I want to do? And if you are raising children who fear you, then you're doing something wrong. You know, as I told my children, I don't want to be your friend. But if it's something that you need and it's something that you're ready to do as a young woman, you come to me because you don't want to be a parent, okay? Because once they come out, you can't give them back, okay? They're yours. And so what we have to be able to do is have these candid conversations with our children, you know, and until when we have those conversations, they're going to be open enough to say, you know what, I want to engage in sexual activity, but I need some protection. Does that mean I'm going to hell? Well, guess what? That's between you and God. He'll deal with you. Okay? But on this side of heaven, you're going to have to make sure that you are protected so this does not happen. Okay? And that's the problem. You know, in the law, it's called willful blindness. What that mean? Well, we see it, but we don't want to acknowledge it. Well, guess what? It don't make it go away. And so what we have to do is directly deal with these issues. You know, we're here today, and there are people here, and there are people here on Facebook. And I thank you so much, Linda, for being our Facebook person. But here's the situation about all of this. We have to start spending one thing with our kids. And it ain't the money that lady counting in her bag. It's T-I-M-E.
Yes, it is.
On an average, children between the ages of 6 and 13 spend 6 hours a day watching TV on the computer.
Right.
And you wonder why they doing what they doing. Well, where your child? Somewhere upstairs. He's here, but you not there. You know, you two people can be in the same house but not physically be together. And what we have to realize is that we got to take time from our lives so that we can pour into them. You know, children are like this, they empty. We gotta take our love, our time, and this is what that's all they want. Oh, Lord. And then they go on to become lawyers, doctors, because what do we put into them? We put our time, we put our love, we put our commitment. Not them pretty clothes, you know what I'm saying? Not the nice weave, but we put in what matters. We put in our time and our love so that we are equipping them so that when they go on, that they'll make appropriate decisions. But let's be honest, a lot of parents just don't want to take the time. You know what I'm saying? Well, they here. You know, it used to be back in the day you worried that your kid in the street. That's not the issue anymore. They can be in the house doing all kind of things, and you coming in there and they got bras on and what you in there doing? Okay, but they in the house. And they sending all kind of pictures to people and doing all kinds of things. And what we need to realize is that we got to put time into these children. Because if we don't, they're going to be angry at us. And as a result, they're going to turn that on their children. You understand? They are sponges. And what they suck up is what we put down is what they suck up. I had an opportunity, one of my last cases, and it was very, very troublesome. I was a young girl, and she was biracial. And she was a very beautiful girl. And, you know, she, just say for sake of argument, her name was Ciara. Okay, she was pretty, real nice looking. And she had a case for stealing a car. And when she came back to court, I noticed she had a patch over her eye. And I said, well, what happened? She says, well, I was at my boyfriend's house and he was playing with a gun and it discharged.
Oh my.
But thank God she wasn't injured. So at that point in time, I was extremely worried about her safety. I put her at a $50,000 10% bond, which meant the family had to post $500. I look up, and my deputy said, you know, Sierra's out. I said, well, overcrowded. Her grandmother got her out. And when she came to court, I asked the grandmother why. She said, because I got bills to pay. And she got a tight little body, and she working at the club. But I need some help. Now, I know, ooh, that's real. That's the reality some of our children are dealing with. Because we're living vicariously through them. You know what I'm saying? Look at you, you got a little tight body. Those are not the conversations we need to be having with our children. Those are, because what we're doing is setting them up to go right into that strip club. And we gotta stop that. And what we're seeing and what Janice talked about, we're seeing a culture now of sexual abuse, of different things, because we are not monitoring our children like we need to. You understand what I'm saying? There's no reason that grandmother should have been allowing her to be there, but that's the time that we live in. Because we're trying to be our children's friends. We're trying to say, look at your body. You can be like the ones on the Instagram. You can do this. We're more interested in our children getting a man than being able to take care of themselves and train them. Okay? Like I told my daughter, you want a man to take care of you, want somebody to take care of you, be that person. Take care of yourself. Okay? And when you do that, guess what? You're going to feel better about you. Because he who giveth can taketh away. Okay? And that's the reality. You know, I've often had an opportunity to talk about, you know, both my parents were teachers. I graduated with a 1.5 grade point average. It's not where you've been, it's where you want to go. And you've got to focus on wanting to go farther. And what we do is we limit our children. We tell them what they can't do instead of telling them what they can do. Okay, one of the things that I admire about Barack Obama's mother, here this child's biracial, all messed up. Boy, go sit down somewhere. You can be the president if that's what you want. We got to make our children believe that they can do anything, that they can soar. But one of the things that we have to stop doing, and I tell you, is enabling our children.
That's so true.
As mammals, they teach them to hunt, nest, and kill. What that mean? When they grown, two things gonna happen. They gonna die or they gonna multiply. They ain't gonna say, y'all going out on the town and I'm gonna build y'all a nest. Okay, they don't do that.
Right.
We enable. Well, you didn't have no daddy, so I'm gonna do this for you. Well, your mama left, so I'm gonna do that for you. Hey, life is full of letdowns and setbacks. And what we have to be able to do is train our children through their situation, okay? Not preventing them from happening. You know, I had an opportunity once where my daughter had missed many times from school, and the principal says, well, you know, I know, you know, you're going through a divorce, and I know that you a judge. I said, what time she get here today? He said 7 o'clock. I said, what time was her class? 7:30. I started talking about something else. He said, but I invited you here to talk. I said, listen, if I can't teach her about failure, then what kind of mama am I? I went to her, I said, hey, you ain't graduating on time. And you keep it up, you're going to not graduate in December. You go best around not graduate June. To this day, she on time. Did it hurt me? Yes. But did I know that I had to train her for failure? Right. See, the hardest thing to do is when your kids fail to step back. I met a woman, she wasn't very, very learned as far as education. She says, but I had 6 children, 12 grandchildren, none of them been to prison. I said, oh, tell me the story, because I'm going to write a book. Simple. She said, visitors make presidents. I done told them that since they've been little, okay? But we don't believe that. I'm going to stand by. I've seen more mothers go back to work so that they can accept their children's phone calls and pay for their appellate attorneys. And they come back at home, am I right about this? Live in their basement, taking their money and whooping on their butt, waiting for that check to come. And it's a cycle of violence. And it's a cycle of that we are engaged in because we're not properly raising our children. And so when we see things like the freezer mom, okay, on a scale of 1 to 10, that's horrible, that's a 10. But all the stuff is short of that. Well, look at you, you look nice and a little tired fit. Girl, you don't get a man. What kind of conversation is that? That's child abuse. What is it? when your daughter's 14 years old and you letting the 15-year-old boy lay up in your home because he paying some bills, that's child abuse.
Come on.
Okay?
Right.
When you know that your child in there, what you in there doing, and she got bras and panties on with a phone, that's child abuse.
Right. That's right.
So we want to look at these extreme. Oh my goodness, I would never do it, but look what you're doing.
Yeah.
They ain't filling up my courtroom and other ones because you doing so good. But it starts when you start enabling these children. A parent's role is one thing to train them. Train them. Training means disappointment. It means hard work, and yes, it does mean reward.
That's right.
But it doesn't mean enabling anybody. You understand that? And we need to understand and implement that. And there's nothing harder than that. You know, there's nothing in this world harder than seeing your child fail, and you can do something about it and you don't. But you're training them to learn, to get up on their own 2 feet and to make their way. And when you do that, you are a good parent. When you let them fail, when you don't give them excuses for what they're doing, that's being a good parent. You understand? So when we talk about what's child abuse, oh, the broken body, yeah, we know that, that's bad, that's horrible. But what are we doing in the home? Okay? You know, we look at, well, what about all of these parents that affluent children are having what I found out to be called Lazarus parties? What's that? When they take your drugs, they put them in a bowl, and they have one person who has Narcan, and everybody die, and they resuscitate them. They call Lazarus parties. That's child abuse. It's child abuse when you on Xanax and all out your mind because you upset about your man and you can't parent your child. That's child abuse. Real life happens. As I told my daughter, 3 things in this life you're going to get played for: your time, your money, and your sex. Be able to rebound from it. Let's move on. That's life. And it's unfortunate that in this day and time, the United States is 80% of the consumer of oxycodone. Legal is in the United States because we're trying to escape reality. You gotta live, and that's what we showing our children. That's child abuse. When our kids see us and we just, mama on that thing again. That's child abuse. And so when we start to throw the rocks at other people, start looking at yourself and say what you're doing as a better parent that can better your children's life. And I guarantee you'll find something. But one of the things that I have always said and believed that if you live long enough, there's certain things that you say you won't do because you find yourself doing them. And what we got to be able to do is really do one thing. Take a look at that man in the mirror. Take a look at that man in the mirror. And say, if them the things that be child abuse, am I contributing to it? Neglect.
Right.
Putting them in front of a TV. Putting them in front of their phone. Is that neglect? Oh no, they ain't beat. They ain't got bruises. But it make them feel they unwanted. My mama just says, as long as I'm in the house, she don't care. How many times have I heard that? And then they grow up to believe that. Is that neglect? Well, no, because she got on Jordans and they got on Minks and they got the... It's neglect.
That's right.
And so what we have to do as a community, as individuals, is basically check ourselves, know that before we, engage in that conversation with our children about, life, make sure they're prepared, to have these children. Just because you get pregnant don't mean that you're ready to be a mom or a dad, okay? But we need to have these real life conversations because sex is not going to go away. We can say, well, just don't talk about it's going to go away. That's foolishness.
No, I know that's right.
That's foolishness. And we got to be able to say, as busy as we are, let's take 2 or 3 hours and put it in our children. Let's hide our cell phones and ride around Belle Isle. Let's go, and do something just with you. Take them to the drive-in. And I'm going to tell you something. That means the most. One thing Wyatt said is true, and I'm going to close this down a little bit, is that when I was in juvenile court, I used to, as a prosecutor, you would have a child that was at the 4th grade level, and in 3 years, they were graduating from college. Why? They had stability. They knew when they was going to eat. They knew when they was going to study. They knew when they were going to go outside. The little boy said, you know what, only thing I hate about being locked up, I can't see my family. but I know my lights is on. I know the heat gonna be on,
Right.
and I know I'm gonna eat good.
Amen. Amen.
That's sad.
See?
That's sad. And so what we need to do is individually and collectively come together. You know, I'm the first proponent of people, you know, reporting extreme cases of child abuse like what, you know, Janice and Wyatt observed. But the real issue is, what you doing in your home?
Yeah.
Are you neglecting your children?
Right.
Are you abusing your children by not putting the time into them and not making the best that they can be? Poverty is one thing that's been in this black community. But guess what? Opportunity, we made our children in the 50s and 60s. You ain't got no money. My grandfather had a 4th grade education. My grandmother had a 5th grade education. They had 10 girls and 1 boy, and everyone went to college. They said, I can't help you with your homework, but I'm gonna make sure you do it. I ain't gonna rip and run these streets. I'm unhappy in my relationship, but I got children, I gotta raise them. And I can't let them deal with it. I can't let them know about my money problems.